Hi, and welcome back to part 3 of our welcome tour to History of the English Language for Spring 2020. In the first video, we talked about the syllabus and the assignments overall. In the second video, we talked about Blackboard. You might want to look at those first, because in the third one, we're going to get into some stuff that might be a little bit more unfamiliar to you, and that's two software programs we're going to be using to interact with each other and work together in this course. And those are Microsoft Teams and OneNote. So please follow along now as I show you how to access them and some of the features that they have and what I hope to be doing with you. And please get at me with any questions you might have about these if they're unfamiliar to you or if any of this presentation is confusing. Thank you. Once again, we're going to start off in Blackboard. On the left here, you can see two links that I skipped over before. One is Microsoft Teams and one is OneNote class notebooks. Let's go into Teams first. If you click on this over here, you should be able to go into here. So you can, there's two things you can do here. You can either download the Teams app, which as far as I understand is free, or you can join on the web. The good thing about the joining on the app is that you can get notifications if you want, and you can mute the notifications when you want to. You can also get the team apps for your smartphone if you have one, or other device that you have, so that you can keep track with conversation and announcements that are going on there. I have found in the past when I used Slack, which is a similar kind of application, that it generated a lot of involvement and discourse and sharing and discussion and good conversation in online courses particularly. I find that people with discussion boards tend to have a sense of, oh, if I'm going to post something on a discussion board, it's got to be really sort of like well thought out and polished. And the thing is about learning is that one of the most important things you can do when you're learning is to make mistakes, to say things that are wrong, to experiment. And the discussion board can kind of encourage that because you feel like everything you're saying is being like graded and evaluated. A chat application like Teams is allows you to sort of be more experimental and more informal, and I think that can be valuable for our learning community in this class. So you can either join on the web here, or you can open Microsoft Teams if you've downloaded the application. I'm just going to resize it so it fits into the video window here. Thank you for your time. As you can see, I've added everyone in the class, so you should be able to log in. As of now, we have 4 channels. There's the general channel, there's the discussion, and this channel I've set up the discussion course material as one where we can discuss the ideas and content actually taught in the course. This is focused on the material and the learning, as opposed to Q&A policies and assignments, where if you have questions about, when is this due, what is the format that is required, the kind of businessy kind of questions, is there going to be extra credit? Am I going to be graded on this thing? All that fun stuff. That goes in here, and then random is just for anything that's sort of like off topic and bantery. So get in there. If you're watching this video and you've gotten this far, go in and post in one of the channels, please, so I know that you have this and that it works. And in the meantime, if we go back into the general channel, if you see at the top, there's a bunch of different things that we can do here. There's posts, and that's where we talk to each other. There's files, and I'm not using that here because I'm going to put the files on Blackboard. I'm using this, but I am using Class Notebook, and we're going to be using this quite a bit. This is the OneNote class notebook. So when you click on here, you'll come to this sort of intro page that tells you about how it's set up and what to do. So you can sort of click in here and you'll be able to go, you won't see this teacher only space, but you will see your own notebook. So let's say I'm Tanya Brady. Hi, Tanya. And you click here, you'll see that you have access to class notes. You can put your own class notes here, and you can copy any handouts or anything that you want here. If you go into, actually, I'm not going to use Class Notebook through here. You can also open it in a browser, which is a slightly better interface than the one that comes through OneNote. And you should have access to all of the same material. For you, the biggest and most important thing will be over here, this collaboration space. And just give me a second, I'm going to collect my thoughts, and I'm going to open this up in the OneNote application, which if you can download, OneNote 2016 especially is the best. That gives you the most sort of flexibility and power in terms of editing. So I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to open the class notebook in that, and I'm going to show you the cool stuff that we're going to be doing. So just to review, I'm actually going to go into the student view here again. You can get into it now through Microsoft Teams. You go into Class Notebook at the top, and then you can click Open in Browser, and that will bring you to HEL 491 Notebook. You can also go to it through Learning Units, go to Weeks 1 and 2, and click on Sample Corpus Comparison. This is going to be your landing spot for using OneNote, so that I can get you, and I'm doing two things at once. One, I'm giving you an overview of the course content. Two, I'm introducing you to the program. And three, I'm making sure that people have managed to be able to sign in and edit content in the program. Okay, that's three things, not two. So click on here, and that should take you into the same OneNote website. And this is the just like there's a browser-based version of Word or Excel, this is a browser-based version of Microsoft OneNote. OneNote is a note-taking software like Bear or Apple Notes or Evernote. If you're familiar with any programs like that, this is a similar idea, except this is integrated with other Microsoft applications. And it has a feature called Class Notebook, which allows for this thing here called the collaboration space, which is very useful. I have materials in my teacher-only library, which I moved to the content library, which I then put here for you guys to play around with. So in the collaboration space, the way it's organized is so the overall thing that we're looking at is a shared notebook. And in that shared notebook, there are sections or stacks. Collaboration space is a stack, and within the stack are a number of different sections. And then within the sections, you might have various tabs. So sample corpus here is loading, and here you can see now that what I've put here is 4 different versions of the same passage of the Bible. To give you a kind of synopsis of course content. This one's from Old English from about the year 1000 CE. This one's from Middle English from 1383. This one's from Early Modern English. Oops, I don't know why that got squashed. This is the problem. I'll separate that out a little. And this one's from Modern English. So you can see the same thing. So you can see how the language has changed, or at least the written expression of the language has changed over time. I want you to come in, I want you to look at the different questions and activities that I've given you to do on this page and the sort of things that I'm pointing you at. And I want you to sign your name. I see one Keener has gotten in here already. Hi, Amber, and signed her name. And if you guys can come in here, and the other thing I'd like you to do is give a brief thought on which step, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or 3 to 4, represents the greatest difference in the language. I'd like you to think about it. And yeah, so this is it. What we're going to do is you're going to be working in small groups. For each historical period of the language, you're going to be given sample texts, and you're going to be asked to collaboratively produce a teaching resource for that text to comment on the features. You'll be given a series of questions to answer and features to mark, and you're going to be able to play around with it. I'm going to open this up in the app here. I'm going to open it in OneNote 2016 because I think it's a better interface and it's easier to use. So here we can see there's the collaborate. You can see that you also have your own. You can take notes for yourself. You can copy any notes that you find, and you can use that as a resource for yourself. these are the corpus activities that you're going to do, and I'm going to be introducing them later. But for now, you need to just worry about what you find in the collaboration space. So here in the sample corpus sign-in, you can see the text that I was pointing out to you. And if you can download the application for your desktop, I think it works better. One of the fun things about the collaboration space is that you can kind of, I don't know what all this stuff is here. You can do various things. So you can, you can type stuff up like Dr. Newman is nuts. And then you can draw things like, hello, I'm a guy. And then you can also insert web links, video, audio, various other things. You can highlight things. It is everything that you can do in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or even Excel and stuff. You can make tables and everything. So it's a much more flexible platform than Google Docs is, and it's a much better platform than, for example, the built-in wiki is on Blackboard for this kind of collaborative work, because multiple people can edit. It does get a little boggy and slow if everyone's in at the same time, as I learned during a seated course this fall, but I think this should be fun, and I think it should be useful. I've done it twice before, and it's mostly been successful. A few people have had trouble accessing it and figuring it out at first. But if you have any questions, get at me. Please feel free to come into my office. Feel free to chat me on Teams or call me if you want, and we'll go through it together, because I want everybody to get into here and to work on this together, because it's a really fun way to get our hands dirty with the language itself, if you know what I mean, rather than just sort of passively learning. I want, through these OneNote corpus analysis activities that you're going to be doing, you'll be doing the kind of work that historians of language and literary scholars actually do. You'll be working with original text, using the tools that you learn in the homeworks, the quizzes, the discussion boards, the individual assignments, and the readings to actually encounter specimens of the text in the wild, so to speak, and to learn to work together to teach each other and learn from each other. So I hope you have a lot of fun with that. There's probably, we have a class of 32 right now, so if everyone stays, there's probably going to be like 5 or 6 or possibly even 7 groups, depending on how things break down. And they'll be changed up over time, so you're not going to be working with the same people all the time. It's probably going to be 2 and 2 together, and then maybe 2 and 2 on the backside. The earlier ones are in some ways going to be harder than the later ones, because this is a strange course, because it gets, unlike other courses, history of the English language gets easier as it goes on. The hardest part of the class is going to be near the beginning, because the oldest English is the English that's most different from that which we speak today. So it's going to be like, those of you who remember the 90s might remember dial-up modems, and when you would like download a picture and the picture would load and it would be very low resolution, and then it would get a little sharper, and then it would get a little sharper, and then all of a sudden you could see the picture. That's, as we watch English develop from 500 CE to the present day, that's kind of what it happens as it comes closer and closer and closer to the language we speak. So it's going to be rough at first, but it's going to get easier, and I hope we have a lot of fun along the way. Please ask me any questions that you might have. Get in teams especially. I think that's one of my favorite ways to interact with students, because it's spontaneous, it's real time, and it's a little more informal, and it's sort of more like being in a classroom with you folks. Yeah, that's it for our tour of this class. We've gone through the syllabus, we've gone through Blackboard, and now we've looked at Teams and OneNote. We're going to have time to reintroduce ourselves to all of these things as we go from week to week to week. I'm going to dial in closer on specific features, but this should be enough to get you started for now, I hope. Welcome to hell.